Hello folks, thanks for taking a look at us today. What we're going to be showing is Solid Edge ST7, and we're going to be looking at some animations and what we can actually do with them in Solid Edge, because we actually have the ability now to directly export those out to KeyShots. Alright, so what we're going to go ahead and do in this example is we're going to have a cover that opens and a little switch that moves. I did this in a seminar recently, and I didn't exactly go into the detail of how we create motors and things like that. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do in today's blog, is show exactly how you can create some motors in Solid Edge and create an animation and export that. I'm also going to show you some color face options that we have. That's kind of nice that we have between Solid Edge and KeyShot. And first off, let's go ahead and just get this guy animating. Alright, so what we have here is a cover. As you notice, we have some relationships down here, and we do have a degree of freedom. Basically, this part can move, so if it didn't have that ability for that freedom, a motor wouldn't work. So you have to make sure your relationships are going to match the type of movement that you're going to be creating. Alright, so this one is a rotational, so we're going to go ahead and use a rotational motor style. Alright, so this is the cover that we want to go ahead and move, and now we have some options here of how fast we want it to move and how much do we want it to move. Alright, so we only want this guy to move 180 degrees. So we just want the cover to open about halfway, and that looks good. We need to tell it what axis to rotate around. There we go. And that's it. So there's our first motor. If I expand this out in the Pathfinder, you'll see that we have it listed here as rotational. We can rename that if we want to know if that's a specific part. So if we have more than one rotational motors, we can specify which one is which. Alright, in the switch, we want to go ahead and move in a linear motion. So we have a specific motor type for that. But I don't know exactly how far we want this to move. So I'm going to come over here and actually take a measurement off of here so we know how far this switch can move in that little slot. And we're looking at in the Y, about 4.5 millimeters. So we're just going to go ahead and make it move 4 millimeters. That'll work. Alright, so let's go ahead and create that linear motor. Alright, so this guy we're going to say, let's do the 4 millimeters that we said that we can move. And speed's fine. We can just leave it at the default. And we want it to move in that orientation right there. And again, we want to go ahead and give it a name. We'll call this switch. And there we have it. Alright, so that's the first step. Let's go ahead and now take a look at what it's going to look like once it's moving inside the animated environment of Solid Edge. Right next to the motors, we have a simulate motor. It brings us into an animation environment. So there's the two that we just created. It doesn't really matter the order that they are in here. That's personal preference. We want to go ahead and make this not quite 10 seconds, because it's going to be a fairly short function. 4 seconds is fine. Alright, so let's go ahead and populate those. Alright, so before I do anything with these, let's go ahead and just take a look at what we got right out of the box. Alright, if I hit play, you'll see cover open and stop, and the switch move. You can see it move, but it actually stayed in the open position. So it's like a little toggle switch, so we want the switch to open and close back once this cover opens. Alright, so let's go ahead and rewind this. Alright, so there is the lid, or excuse me, the switch. You can see it highlight, it tells me. What we want to go ahead and do is copy this. The reason why is we want to go ahead and paste it in here. We're going to go ahead and paste it as a mirror, so it'll go back into position. And we can, adjust the how long it actually takes to open and close. I'm just going to go ahead and leave it right here. And we're going to go and move this guy. So the lid's going to open a little bit before it actually, or excuse me, the switch is going to activate before the lid actually opens. So I'll just move that down a little bit. There we go. So let's take a look at this now. And that looks pretty good. So the cover opens and the switch moves. Let's do the same thing with the cover. Let's go ahead and copy this and mirror this down. And the same concept would go for the switch. Copy, paste, copy, mirror. again. Alright, so let's rewind it and hit play. It's going to close, and the switch is going to activate, and there we have it. Alright, so now that we have that taken care of, let's go ahead and save our assembly. Alright, and before I create that animation, I'm going to show you something in KeyShot that I've learned recently. If I open up a new part file, and I'll use Solid Edge's primitive feature to create a box. As you notice, some of the new functions in Solid Edge, when you hover over icons, some of them specifically have videos attached to them to show exactly how they work. It's pretty much across the board. So for dimensions, modeling style. So again, I'm going to go ahead and create a box primitive. Let's start right here. That'll work. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and bring this over into KeyShot. So under our Tools menu, we have KeyShot Render. Alright, so I'm going to hit KeyShot Render. Alright, so let's take a look. Here's the part that we had in Solid Edge. And here's our menu of textures inside of KeyShot. Alright, to apply the textures in KeyShot, it's a simple process. It's just a matter of dragging and dropping. Let's go to metals. Let's take a look at dimples. Let's go ahead and do a dimple on that part right there. The scale is a little big, so just to double click it, it actually takes you to the part model with the texture. So we're going to come over here and say, let's just make that 0.1. Alright, you notice as I pick one side, it automatically adds the dimples to every single side of the part. And that is just how KeyShot works. It just sees the face and go ahead and wrap it around. Alright, that's not what I want. I just want that dimple to be on one of the faces. Well, maybe the front and the back face. Alright. So, to accomplish that, it's a very simple process. In Solid Edge, we can go to our Part Painter. So under the View drop-down, we have Part Painter. I'm going to go ahead and make the front face black, and I'll make the back, make the back face blue. And let's go ahead now hit re-render. So we'll go back to Tools and say open up in KeyShot. And here we have the part again. As you notice, it adopted the colors from Solid Edge. There's the blue and the black face. What's kind of nice about this now is I can go ahead and drop that on that face again. You notice it only puts it on that single face. Alright, so I can come over here and up that scale again. Do a little something different on the back. Let's go ahead and make it hollow. And do the same thing. Bump that scale down. And on the outside, let's go ahead and add some paint. Add some metallic paint. And as you can notice, as you can actually see through the hole. So as I rotate around, you can actually see the dimple on the other side. And as I let it sit, you can actually see the rendered reflection of the green paint on the inside. So that is kind of nice to be able to paint the faces like that with multiple colors and textures inside of KeyShot very fast with really photorealistic results. Alright, so, let's get back to the calculator. So don't need to save that. I'm just going to leave the colors that we have in here in Solid Edge. That's fine for now. We'll go ahead and modify those once we get them in KeyShot. Alright, so a couple different ways. I showed you under the tools we actually had the KeyShot. We can have the options here. If you want to go ahead and preset how high quality, let's set this to high def. The output quality of your models to KeyShot. The higher you go up, obviously the bigger the file is going to be. The resulting is the round edges will be more round than tessellated. So that's probably if you want to go for just a quick test to see if you're going to like it, go ahead and go low. But once you get your final result set, go ahead and bump it up to the highest setting and go ahead and let it go. So again, we have it KeyShot render here where we were at prior to this when we did the animation. You notice we actually have a KeyShot animate. Alright, so let's go ahead and instead of just doing a static image, let's go ahead and bring this whole animation over into KeyShot. Same settings that we had previously. So this will take a second to load these parts. Here we have KeyShot coming up, and let me go ahead and maximize it again. Alright, so here we have the solid edge parts and all the, the entire assembly. Let me go to, actually let me go ahead and close this down. I went to the animation tab, and you notice now we have our solid edge animation in here. Quickly, easily to see, if we want to go ahead and hit play. Basically, it's going to just replicate and little switch is going to switch and the little cover is going to cover. I have it on repeat right now, so that's why it's actually going over and over again. But let's go ahead and add some colors to this, and let's go ahead and show you what we can do with our final animation. Alright, let me go ahead and again load that library. What we're going to go ahead and do is add some colors and textures to this. So the first thing we do is let's go ahead and just paint the body. There's a nice metallic blue down. Pardon me. I kind of like this metallic sapphire blue, so we're going to go ahead and drop that on that cover and on the body there. And we have a little battery case underneath here. Let's go ahead and hit that. On the buttons, let me zoom up. Let's go ahead and make the top of the buttons we'll leave fine. Let's make them a rubber, so we'll just say soft touch black. Go on the switch. Let's go ahead and make that a plastic. Make it a plastic part. Let's go ahead and make that a clear red part. There we go. And we have some parts underneath the cover. So how do we actually get to that? So if I pick it from the list here, you notice under the scene and a portion of KeyShot, we can check and uncheck geometry. So let's go ahead and hide a few of these things. Oops, didn't want to try to move it. There we go. Alright, so let's go ahead and make our LCD shiny lime green. There we go. That'll look good. And on the outside rubber bump grips, let's do this Mold Tech. Let's go ahead. If you can't see the icons, thought you could bump them. I guess I have them as big as you can get them. But you can actually see on my screen, I don't know if you can see them on the video, all the individual textures these have on here. So let's go with the kind of a bumpy grip here. Have it, and close that out. So that looks pretty good. Alright, so let's go ahead and turn all the parts back on. Grab the assembly. There you go. Alright. So something to keep note of. When I go ahead and render this, so let's go ahead and say render for animation. I'm just going to go do it a low setting, and I'm going to go ahead and say render. And as you notice, as it zoomed out, so what's going to happen is it's actually using the solid edge locations and view of the parts in solid edge. So it's kind of zoomed out here, so let me turn off the animation bar. There we go. Alright, so as you notice, it kind of stays out in this zoomed out orientation. So if you want a particular view or a particular style, you can set that in solid edge. So let's go ahead and change the perspective, and let's go ahead and zoom it up a little closer. That should work. Alright, so let's go ahead, well, I'm sorry, going back to my animation. Here we go. tools. There we go. All right. Let's go ahead and KeyShot update that. And let's go back to KeyShot. Alright, so let's go ahead and set it to render. There we go. So as you can see, we just started the render in KeyShot. How KeyShot works, I actually have it set now to animate and render in using 3 cores of my processor. That would allow me to go back to Solid Edge and model, do animation, or do whatever I want in Solid Edge now. So it's not taxing on my video card. It's only hitting your CPU. So if you have a multi-core processor, it's going to utilize that ability in KeyShot. It's going to render. It's going to take quite a while, so I don't really need to go ahead and do that final. I'll go ahead and stop this. There we go. Go ahead and cancel that out. Alright, so that is how we can actually animate inside of KeyShot now based on Solid Edge animation. So again, whether you want to do analysis or if you just want to show how a product animates, KeyShot and Solid Edge working together is the way to go. There are a lot easier animations to do in Solid Edge. It will actually use your relationship types. So if you have mates and lines and tangencies, it'll behave with the proper behavior if you animate things. Alright, so if you have any further questions, please feel free to give us a call. 214-783-9898 is my number. So if anybody would like to have anything animated, please give me a shout and I'd be more than happy to work with you. Thank you very much.